How well that's going to work out, I don't know, but I like building things, especially if it's going to make people's lives better or easier. Also, Halloween is coming up, so multifunctional. Um, as far as saving lives, absolutely. And hopefully, with what I'm trying to build out of junk, by the time I'm done building it, somebody will take a look at it and go, man, he could probably build that out of something better, and rightly so. And like with all of my ideas, everyone's free to build it. Of course, the tough thing about that is getting it built first, and that requires a place to do so. Here in Oregon, they don't have free camping, and they used to have that 14-day camping thing. They still have it going on, but now anywhere that's state park or state owned is $20 a night. And I was told that the federal land is also, I think I was told it's like 30 a night, but I don't know if that's correct because I haven't found any federal land to check out any campsites on. I do know that my disability money is almost out. I'm down to less than $50 to run on for the month. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I don't want to be stuck in a small town. That's kind of a bad place to be stuck, but then again, I don't want to get stuck in Portland. I'll get completely lost there. That's one of the things about being autistic, is that it does make me easy to target. Despite the fact that I'm not retarded, my situation's pretty desperate. It definitely did not get windy enough here after I pulled out the kites to actually fly them. So we'll see what happens with that maybe tomorrow or the next day. Being able to take junk that I have and actually show the concepts, I think that's going to be a lot of fun. One of the things that I was thinking about for regulating speed, a lot of boats, we make them so they're really stiff. And I don't think they should be built that way. We have modern materials that we end up throwing a lot of stuff out or remelting stuff 30 times to make the same plastic bottle over and over and over again. Why don't we stop melting it down? How about we make a lot of that stuff into something that'll last and long term? We don't need a bunch of little plastic beads floating around in the ocean getting eaten by crap. What we need is sustainable structures. Now, as far as using balloons, it doesn't have to be balloons for... Alright, for example, you guys have seen those inflatable houses, right? They're really cool. And we got all these homeless people that no matter where they go in America, they're told to move on. So we've got counties that are spending literally tens of thousands of dollars every month to put people on buses to go somewhere else. And then when they go somewhere else, they're told to move on from there, and it just never ends. It's like they want to push everybody off into the sea that isn't rich. So why not figure out a way for people to do that? Now then there's the poor man's way to do things. Rotomolding requires one metal mold. And I designed my stuff so that it can be, what do you call it? Well, sectional. For example, for the pontoons, I do plan on having some littler things and some bigger things. One of the things that I'm working on right now is a backpack that's also a canoe. And I know that sounds completely absurd, but I figure if it's a backpack that you're going to be able to unfold and use it as a tent, you should be able to flip that tent upside down and use it for a canoe or a kayak. I've got all the materials to do it. I just need to find a place to do that. And that's just the basic idea for one of the things I intend on making. And no, that's not going to be something for ocean going travel, not by any means. But because I'm making it out of lightweight materials and easily replaceable materials, it's something that if it gets damaged, you can fix the structure. Now, I also got stuff where, say you want to go kayaking for the day with your backpack, and you don't want what would be the top of the tent would actually be the bottom of the kayak. And when you got something like this, it's just a pool noodle. If you use that for a skid, then pretty much anything that you're going to run into, that's going to absorb. I also have some, all right, those really annoying political signs that are all over the place, and then they end up blown into every single bush in America for like months and months and months. Well, you can use those for structural stability and a lot of different things too. And all right, so there's one thing that's real popular in Japan. They've been practicing basically folding metal into different things, usable things. It's based off of origami, and just some of the things they make are phenomenal. We've also got stuff like, you guys are familiar with those little puzzles that are, well, I guess they have some of them now that are the size of baseball cards, but it's a little puzzle, and you put it together into like the Eiffel Tower or a biplane, or I saw one that was R2-D2. But they're 3D metal puzzles. There's a lot of different things like that you can use for inspiration when you're designing and building something. For me, I've been in a lot of different industries, and that's because there's stuff I wanted to be able to do, but I didn't have the money for college. So I had books, and I had people that I knew who did those things. So I went and learned from them, even if it was dirt cheap or for absolutely nothing in some cases. So now I got a bunch of knowledge of how to make a bunch of different things, and I got a bunch of different tools and sets that I've played with and messed with, and a bunch of different innovations and ideas that have given me inspirations for all sorts of stuff. One of the things I really look at with all these scientists and stuff coming together and saying, oh, we need to do something about all the plastic on the ocean. The plastic on the ocean, what do we do with it? Well, if you're going to end up taking it back to a recycling center or a landfill, it's going to do the same thing. It's going to break up and it's going to go to the same place. At least if you put it into something bigger, something longer lasting, then it's going to take forever for it to get there. It's going to take forever for it to get that way. And because everything was only melted down once into something that's going to last for friggin' ever, you don't have to do it again. You're not releasing all of them toxins into the environment. I mean, why would I want you to take a plastic bottle that I used once and then melt it down so I can have another plastic bottle that I'll use once? So you can melt it down so I can use another plastic bottle that I'll use once. You seeing where I'm going here? And then there's the fact that we just can't keep up with the industrial waste. All these plastics. And with me growing up in the 1980s, they pushed all of that Brazilian rainforest stuff on us. So most of us, we remember that. That was like two things in the 1980s that were major in every school. Save the Rainforest was in every elementary school and every grade school, and might have even been in some high schools, I'm not sure. Oh, we also had DARE, and you know what that was about. And I've had a lot of people that I know that went through and survived a lot of horrible stuff, and they have wonderful ideas. Like there's a lady, her name is Nicole Jarrell. She wants to have a therapeutic riding camp with horses for helping people. And she grew up with horses, so she's got a lot of experience with them. Matter of fact, she grew up in a mountain town, a tiny mountain town in Colorado, and yeah, she's had horses her entire life. She's ridden her entire life. She also went to college to be a therapist, and she also believes that animals are a wonderful thing for helping people. She's right. She doesn't have any land to do that on, though. Then there's a young woman named Chloe Pachovis, and she works with autistic kids. Now, Chloe always had an idea of having a cooperative for artists. And this is similar to my idea of a place for autistic folks. And she totally gets that, especially working with autistic kids. Oh, sorry. That lady's not talking to me, but I just realized she existed. That scared me. Not scared, but startled. I guess between the two projects I need to make, one of them I can make in a day. That project is the backpack that you can flip over and use as a tent. I think it's a wonderful idea. I also think it should be able to be used as a kayak. I don't think it'll be perfect for that purpose, but I do believe that it'll perform the function required. That's what's important to me. Will it do what it needs to do? Will it get me from point A to point B? Does it look pretty? I don't fucking care. We can do all the ornamentation and grandiose whatevers later. You want to put some gold leaf crenellings on it? Go ahead. You want to custom mold some little gargoyles to put on something? Go ahead. I don't care. Leave the artistic part to you. I got my own artistic measure and my own way that I would do it if I had 1,000,000 years and the best materials and the best supplies and the best tools and the best of everything, but I don't have the best of everything, and I'm used to having to do stuff with sandpaper or rocks as sandpaper if I gotta shape something. I don't got a custom CNC machine. A lot of times I don't even have proper measuring devices. That's one thing about setting up jigs. If you set up a jig, you can basically mass produce a part by the hundreds or even thousands. Also, if you're able to figure out how to take garbage and turn it into something else, you've done something wonderful. There's a lot of the garbage out there that can be used, of course, to burn. And we know that there are ways of burning things and still being able to collect the smoke and all of the chemicals that come off of that. Also, each of the chemicals that come off of it, we do have a use for. And some of those can actually be used to take the most probable of the plastics that you're going to run into. That's number one, polyethylene terephthalate. And it melts down at 276 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's pretty good stuff. It can be dried out and melted down into basically the same state that it was in before you melted it. Right now I've got a bottle in my car that I found, and on the label it said that it was 100% recycled. That's cool. Well, there's also the concept of, alright, have you ever seen a Coca-Cola bottle that's got a little bit of liquid in it? Yeah. You put it on the water, and it kind of sinks a little bit depending on where that liquid is in it. If you set something in there, like let's say a stick, right? Let's say you take a 7-inch stick and you put it in there, The way the weight's distributed, it's going to keep it even in there, and it's not going to roll, or it's not going to roll easily. If you tape that stick in there so that it can't roll, the bottle itself may roll, but it's always going to right itself. And that's the key right there. If you got to batten down the hatches, you're making it watertight, but you're not wanting to plan on staying upside down for long. That's one of the reasons that we're running out of cruise ships in the world. They just keep on, well, they're top heavy. They're not made for all that. I don't design anything on a mass scale like that ever. The biggest thing that I've designed as far as anything of that sort goes is a trimaran that's supposed to be for about a family of 6 or so. But I've also designed stuff that I designed a Lego set for adults, and I don't mean inappropriate toys. See, that's where a lot of innovation goes. A lot of people have innovation and they go, oh, well, you know, what's going to make me the most money? They don't think to themselves, what is going to do the most good for the world? There's one guy had the great idea of, and I'm not even sure who this guy was. I remember that it's not my idea to begin with. The idea of taking a bunch of plants and you plant them all in a row, grow something that is extremely flexible and long-lasting, and grow a whole bunch of them. And this person's idea was bamboo. Great idea. But the idea was also, or no, his idea was, I want to say a type of cypress is what it was. And he said basically that what you do is you grow all of these trees side by side, and as they grow up, you can actually form them into the shape that you want. If you put the lights over them, you can make sure that they have the growing seasons exactly how you want them to have them. And if you control the environment, you could have up to 10 seasons in a year, apparently. But that was, you know, this guy's great and mighty idea. He was going to take this certain type of tree that was supposed to be weather and rot resistant, and he wanted to grow it into structures like houses. And we've also seen in fantasy, you know, a lot of elven peoples with these giant redwoods that they've taken the branches and grown each redwood into the tree next to it. Then where they meet together, where those two branches meet, it has a giant tree coming out of it going straight up, and it just really cool stuff, right? Very cool fantasy. Of course, in real life, I wouldn't want to do something like that with a giant redwood, but I would think about doing it with bamboo. And I want to say it's a type of cypress this guy was talking about. Because when we were talking about it, he said there might be a way to do it with bamboo. Because there's different places in the Philippines where they'll grow bamboos into a circle or the shape of a house, basically. And then they'll just start grabbing bamboo from either side of the structure and tie them together in the center, basically where the center ridge line of the roof is going to be. They just tie all these things together and they keep on pulling them over as they grow, and also weaving them into each other. And eventually it'll make a house. There's also some where they mimic that style, and you can see that in a lot of, what do they call it, modern edge. So there's a lot of different materials. Like in that particular style, they use bamboo that's been cut and it's been shaped, and then they build really cool structures with it. It's all Art Deco, but it's all based on people who lived in groves of bamboo. We got a lot of modern stuff that has grassroots in way the hell back in the day. We have stone structures that are older than written history. And if there are stone structures that are older than written history, then of course stonemasonry is older than human history. Written history, anyway. It's one of those things where we may think we're smarter than people before us, but we're not. We have the accumulated knowledge of those who came before us. It used to be that you had to go to a library. Before you had access to a library, you didn't have access to anything. You had to be a rich person, a king or a queen, or maybe a Dutch merchantman if you were lucky. Now, one of the things about all of these ideas that people have, from Nicole Jarrell and her writing camp to me and the things that I want to build, is that everybody's got to have a place to do it. For me, if I can park my car somewhere, then I can build what I need to in a space about as big as a car. So basically, my car and the space next to it that size. I can make what I need to be able to literally use garbage and trash. Hopefully to give an idea to people that they can go out and try and play with for themselves. I like the idea of the wingsuits. I'm sure you've seen them, like the Dubai videos, the Dubai wingsuits, where the guys are flying around above the skyscrapers, and they got the wingsuit that's powered by the two little engines, and yeah, that stuff's really cool. Or the ones, you've seen them in Transformers where they jump out of the airplane in those things, and they actually have them, by the way. That's the really cool thing about that. Well, some of my ideas are inspired by things like that. From having a backpack on your back that folds out into both a really lightweight kayak as well as a cot. I mean, that's, well, a covered dome cot. But, that's all based on motivation. When we've got people who are motivated to try to make things that are pretty, I get that. I'm an artist. I made my living drawing pictures and drawing people's portraits for years. But one of the things about your artist is that your plumber gets paid first. When folks say, hey, if you make something that people want, you'll make some money. If you make something that people need, you'll make a lot of money. If you make something people don't know they need yet, you'll make a lot more. There's a lot of stuff that the advertisement comes down to word of mouth, and that comes down to people seeing it, and that comes down to me needing 14 days. Well, 13 days. The first day I'm going to make the backpack thing. It'll only take a day. It's pretty simple, but it will take a full day. And by a full day, I figure about 16 hours, because it'll be my first time ever making one. It's an idea I've had in my head for years, and I originally thought about doing it with heavier materials and better materials, but then my back got screwed up. I ended up broke, and you make do with what you got, right? Now, I do have bamboo, so instead of doing what that one guy wanted to do with the cypress, grow it into structures or grow it into the hull of a boat and then just cut them all down in a row, growing the branches into each other, really good idea. I mean, It is a good idea. I got to give them that. And you wouldn't have to do it with cypress. You could do that with bamboo. Of course, over time, use some places you can actually grow the bamboo into all sorts of different shapes. Make an outside hull and an inside hull. Pour some marine foam in between the two. Lacquer it up on the outside. Who knows? I know a lot of people are into that. I know a lot of people are into many, many, many things that could make the world a better place. It doesn't include chopping it down. If you're going to make a long-term structure like a house, if you're gonna make something that's a little more short-term, something like a boat, well, you might want to find something that's got a root system that'll survive out in the ocean. Because it's not something that you're going to want to put on a river. Alright, so I hope you guys had some fun here at this imagination station. I'm continuing to try to find myself a place where I can sit down and work on this stuff. And for right now, I got to go use the bathroom, and you don't get to come with me. Alright, you know how we end these videos now. Good to be rid of you. Thanks for coming to visit. Stay out of trouble or don't get caught. Remember, you are your brother's keeper and no victim left behind.